At that time, in the late 1960s, when I went to university, it was this huge women's lib movement. It was like a real sort of fun time, make love, not war, burn the bra, and things like that. What it meant was that the women of my generation didn't want to learn to cook because it was to them the first sign of bondage. I went into cooking maybe the way a man does, for love, for fun.
As a matter of fact, in Singapore, I think you see a huge proportion of people who are restaurateurs or chefs who are male.
Yeah.
Do you think it was particularly challenging for you to start as a female or as a woman back in those days, or even now, or do you see any difference between the two?
Well, actually, I was quite foolish when I started my restaurant business. You don't even understand what's a business plan. You have no clue. So we just went to it blindly, and it didn't work after a few years. So I suppose that whole fear of the challenge of entrepreneurship wasn't there. Is it difficult now? I don't think so. I think a lot of, if you find that a lot of F&B businesses actually are backed by women.
So what do you think are the harshest realities that a woman in this industry has to face?
Number one, the harshest reality is that it's a very physically tough job. If you're going to be a Chinese chef, it's impossible. You actually have to throw that wall. And I mean, you've seen chefs in our kitchen, they have to lift up pots of 20 to 30 kilo of stock, for example. So I think that's a physical constraint to a woman being in the kitchen. I mean, you yourself, you're running our restaurants. In our case, the women get paid the same as the men for the same roles. But do you see this whole business, are there barriers for women coming in?
Well, I'm sure there are, and it's inherent to the industry that's been kind of dominated by men. But I think that's changing. I recently saw a friend of mine who's a chef at this restaurant called Morsels, and she's competing in the World Gourmet Summit this year, and all the other people she's competing with are men. So I think women have kind of stepped up and taken that challenge, and you said it's physically challenging, and I think they don't see that as a barrier anymore.
Yeah, and I don't think for, let's say, her generation, they don't see themselves as men and women, they see themselves as chefs, I think.
So do you think the media plays a role in highlighting or emphasizing gender discrimination or inequalities?
Yeah, whenever a woman achieves something, it's rah-rah. With a man, it's like normal. I actually don't like it. Now, in your case, how do you deal with women and men? Do you deal with them the same way? Do you find it difficult, or it doesn't occur to you?
Well, I suppose, in my case, I've had the advantage of working with two women. You're my boss and you're my mother and you're a woman. And we also work with my sister, Sulin. And, that's given me a lot of insight into how a strong and powerful woman would kind of hold herself in the workplace. And in turn, I suppose within our own organization, I think that set the bar really high. I don't think I would look at it differently from one person to the next. And I just take the lead from examples that I've seen.
But I think you find us a bit more emotional, right? But it's so nice to have two genders running a business because we have different takes on the same situation.
Yeah.